6 silent ways narcissists kill you from the inside. You may not realize it, but that narcissist doesn't just want you gone. They want you erased. And not in a way that would ever raise suspicion. No broken bones. No overt threats. What they want is far more sinister. They crave your slow disappearance, your gradual unraveling, until there is no trace of who you used to be. Not your voice, not your spark, not your essence. They want you hollowed out, silenced from the inside. You'll never find a smoking gun because their methods are subtle, psychological, and invisible to the outside world. While others see charm, success, sophistication, they see someone likable, someone admirable. Meanwhile, you're collapsing silently behind closed doors, confused by your own unraveling. That's the cruelty. They orchestrate your destruction in a way that leaves no fingerprints, while everyone else continues to admire them. Because they don't just want control, they want dominion. They don't just want to win arguments or manipulate outcomes. They want to crush your will to live. They won't scream or slam doors. They'll whisper, undermine, and withdraw. It's a quiet form of assassination. Death by emotional starvation. And it happens so slowly that by the time you recognize what's been done to you, the damage has already taken root. You wake up one day and find yourself disconnected from the world, from your identity, from your very self. There is no fire left, no anchor, no sense of belonging. And that's when it hits you. They never simply wanted to hurt you. They wanted you erased. The stare that feels like a death sentence. There is a look they give that's unlike anything else. A vacant, chilling stare that pierces through you like you're no longer human in their eyes. It's more than anger. It's predatory, as if their soul shuts off and what's left is something unrecognizably cold. Many survivors call it the psychopathic stare, because that's exactly what it feels like. A moment where their eyes darken, deaden, and take on an inhuman stillness. You feel it deep in your gut, a primal warning that something is very wrong. It's a look of someone who sees you as prey, not a person. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, you'll never forget it. It's the kind of look that makes you feel like you've just locked eyes with something capable of absolute destruction, and enjoying it. I've seen this look. I remember my father glaring at my mother like that. He never raised his voice, but in that gaze, everything was clear. He wanted her erased. That was his wish. And when you live with someone like this, those stays become more frequent, more deliberate. You start catching them watching you crumble, and there's something almost satisfied in their eyes. Like they are feeding off the pieces of you that are breaking apart. They don't just isolate you. They make you doubt your own world. Their goal isn't just to separate you from others. It's to make you willingly retreat into the prison they've built for you. They won't outright ban you from seeing your friends or family. That would be too obvious. Instead, they sow tiny seeds of suspicion, subtly eroding your trust in everyone you love. Have you noticed how your friend only calls when she needs something? Or I don't think your family really supports you. They never truly have they? These remarks don't hit all at once. They accumulate slowly, like drops of poison in a well. And over time, you begin to pull back. You stop reaching out. You stop sharing. You stop believing that anyone outside the narcissist could possibly understand you. This tactic is especially effective early in the relationship, when you still think you're making your own choices. And by the time you realize you're isolated, it's already too late. Their voice, manipulative, punishing, and inescapable, becomes the only voice in your world. And here's the worst part. When you eventually try to leave and reach out for help, people see a version of you they don't recognize. You've been so deeply trauma-bonded, so confused and broken, that when you go back to the narcissist and then leave again, it exhausts the people who once cared. They begin to distance themselves, not out of cruelty, but out of helplessness. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants, for you to be completely alone. Because when you have no one left to validate your reality, to tell you that you're not the problem, your only remaining reference point becomes the narcissist. And that loneliness, it is devastating. It breaks you in ways you can't explain, until even you start wondering if maybe you really are the problem after all. That loneliness I spoke of, it doesn't just sit with you. It wraps around your chest like a vice and steals your breath. You try to reach for the world, to find something, someone, to anchor you, but you're met with silence, coldness, rejection. Again and again, it reinforces the lie they planted in your heart. You are unwanted. And that lie, it begins to feel like truth. Your will to live starts leaking out in quiet, invisible ways. You no longer dream. You no longer fight. You start to wonder, what's the point? No one cares anyway. And in that moment, you realize this was the destination they were always pushing you toward, a version of you who believes their own life has no meaning. They quietly annihilate every source of your stability. They don't throw bricks at your life. They pull out the foundation one invisible piece at a time. Jobs start falling apart, not because they did anything obvious, but because they planted seeds of tension at just the right places. I've watched it happen. Bosses begin to doubt you. Deadlines get missed because they kept you up all night starting fights disguised as conversations, and your finances unravel because they whispered suggestions cloaked in care that led you straight into ruin. Then, when it all collapses, they're already there, smirking, smug, saying, "I told you so." They set the trap, watched you walk in, and now they get to watch you drown. And with every failure, every door that slams shut, you begin to forget who you once were. You look in the mirror and see only a shadow, a shell, drained of belief, of value, of worth. That's when the darkest thoughts creep in. The ones that whisper, maybe disappearing wouldn't be so bad. Maybe the world would be better off without me. Maybe they were right all along. They plant the thought that you shouldn't be here anymore. This part is betrayal in its purest form. The person you once trusted with your soul begins to subtly feed you the idea that you don't belong here, not in their life, not in this world. They don't come out and say it outright. That would reveal too much. Instead, it slips from their mouth like a casual remark. "I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't have the strength if I were you." Or, "Some people just aren't built for this kind of life." They say it like they are sympathizing, but their eyes say something else. And when you show signs of despair, when you're vulnerable and reaching for help, they offer a smirk instead of a hand. They want to be there when you break, not to help you stand, but to watch the fall they orchestrated unfold. They dismantle your hope, one line at a time, until giving up starts to feel like your own idea. But it never was. They convince you the world despises you. Eventually, they take it further. They twist your perception until you believe you're not just unloved, but hated. They convince you that everyone barely tolerates your presence. Your friends are only around because they pity you. They say, your family, they're sick of your problems. Slowly, their words become your inner voice. And once you accept the idea that you are a burden, you stop reaching. You stop fighting. You stop hoping. Because what's the use in trying when you believe no one truly wants you here? And then comes the comparison, the cruelest kind. They introduce new people, fresh replacements, and hold them up like trophies. "She does everything I ask without complaining. I thought you were the one, but I guess I was wrong." The message is clear. You're no longer enough. Someone better has arrived. And with each comparison, your self-worth shrinks. You begin to see yourself through their warped lens. Lesser, lacking, disposable. They spread lies about you to those who once loved you, twisting your words, exaggerating your flaws, so that when you finally cry out for help, no one believes you. You sound unstable, emotional, just like they said you were. And so, one by one, the people you once turned to start to vanish. Not because of you, but because a narcissist made it look like you were the poison. Isolation becomes your prison. Despair, your only company. Sometimes, their violence isn't physical. Sometimes it's the kind of destruction that leaves no bruise but kills just the same. They don't always put a hand on you, but they will watch you die slowly from the inside. Some are left with nothing but the silent scream of an illness that came from carrying too much sorrow too long. Others disappear into shadows, becoming invisible, erased. And in the end, that was always their plan. Over the years, countless people have confided in me, sharing gut-wrenching stories about others, victims of narcissistic abuse, who couldn't bear the weight of the pain any longer and ended up dying from illness. It sounds unthinkable, doesn't it? But it happens, and not in a dramatic, headline-worthy way. A narcissist won't push you off a cliff. They'll just quietly, methodically, make sure you walk yourself there. That's the chilling part. This isn't love. It's not even emotional neglect. It's a calculated form of psychological destruction. It's soul-level murder that doesn't leave bruises but erodes your will to live. It's the kind of violence that society doesn't see, but victims feel every single day, until their bodies can't carry the pain anymore. And what makes it more insidious is how it hides behind a mask of care. Especially when it comes to the narcissist's obsession with knowing everything about you. They don't just want to be close, they want access. Total access. They'll probe into your past, ask you about your childhood scars, your regrets, your secrets, the things you've never told anyone. And for a moment, it feels like connection. Like finally, someone wants to understand you. But it's never about healing. It's never about love. What they are really doing is building an arsenal. Every wound you reveal becomes a weapon. Every fear you confide becomes a trap. They store it all, biding their time, and then twist your own story into something grotesque and damning. When the time comes, they'll use your darkest moments against you, not just to hurt you, but to rewrite your entire self-concept. They'll tell you that you've always been broken, that no one will ever love someone like you, that your trauma makes you unlovable, unstable, irredeemable. And they do it so convincingly that you start to believe it. You internalize the shame until it becomes your identity. You walk around carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. And you start saying things like, maybe I really am the toxic one, or I don't deserve to be alive after what I've done to them. But the truth is, they've taken their own self-loathing and made it yours. You begin punishing yourself for their sins. This isn't just emotional manipulation. It's a total psychological hijacking. You slowly hand over every part of yourself, thinking it will earn you safety or love. But it never does. All it earns you is more devastation. They dig into your mind so deeply that eventually, it's their voice you hear in your thoughts, not your own. And what's wise, they convince you that there's no point in trying to recover. That even if you tried, you'd only fail. That healing is out of reach, and redemption is for other people. They guide you to the edge of emotional death, all while playing the role of the savior. And in that cruel irony, they become both the poison and the false antidote, knowing full well they will never rescue you. So if these words hit home, if the signs feel painfully familiar, please don't ignore them. You're not crazy, you're not overreacting, and you're not alone. What you've experienced is real, and it's devastating. But awareness is the first step to reclaiming your mind and soul. You don't have to keep walking toward that edge. You can stop. You can turn around. You can choose to save yourself, because no one else is coming to do it for you. Thank you for staying with me through this heavy message. If any of this was triggering, take a deep breath and give yourself a moment. You deserve peace. You deserve healing. And as always, let your journey back to yourself begin, and never stop.